I've been a Christian for about 7 years now, since like October of 2016, and I'm now 24, about to turn 25, and it's been a journey because when I first met Christ, I thought life was just gonna be magically just transformed, and now that I know the truth of God, I'm just gonna live for Him. And although that was a sincere emotion, or a feeling, or maybe even yeah, it was a genuine desire I had for the Lord to do His will. That was a time in my life where I was about to graduate high school and all these things, and like it was definitely I was put against. Like now I know Christ, I want to live for Him, and at that time I thought I wanted to be like a missionary or something. And my dad really wanted me to go to college, so I went to college. And I remember before I even got accepted, I prayed to God and asked Him to keep my faith alive during that time, because in college there's all these things that you could do, like chicks and all these different things, that could lead you away from the Lord. And I thank the Lord that during that time, I was definitely, I'm not a perfect guy now, and I was definitely not a perfect guy then. But there's certain things that I know God helped me like not do, that I'm very happy now. Everyone has regrets, I think, but I don't, like, specifically with college and things like that. I you know don't have too many. And just the problem is that throughout that time and now, with my faith in God, it's still very alive. I have my Bible open right here, always always open, just reminding me of that I should be reading this, that I should be connecting and spending time with God. But unfortunately, I think it's easy to get used to just having that desire to want to read the Bible. That's the Holy Spirit in us. But then it's a choice. We need to act on it. And I feel ashamed to say that you know I think my most closest that I was with God, the closest I've ever been with God, was when I like first became a believer, when I first had my encounter with Christ. And now, I'm 24, I still know the Lord, and I have a relationship with Him, and I love Him even more. But unfortunately, I've just been able to see that through. I've probably became a worse man as I've grown. Okay, like I made mistakes before I knew the Lord. I've made mistakes after knowing the Lord, of all different natures. Um, but I still love Him, and now I'm wrestling with how far is too far, or is it really that far? Because like for me, for example, sometimes I make the mistake of being like, well, I don't do these things and I don't do this, like a lot of stuff that a lot of people that are my age have already done or do, or make an active lifestyle of. Like I don't do certain things like that, and sometimes it creates like this like pride, I guess, where you're like, or self righteousness, where you're like, huh. But God convicts me to not even think that way, because that in itself is sinful. Just because you're not living like everyone else, just because you claim to be a Christian, just because all these things, even maybe you are a believer, just because you are a Christian, it doesn't automatically make you better than other people. You need to. The whole point of being a Christian is, hey, bud, don't be looking at them. Look inside your heart. Are you seeking after Christ? Are you trying to live like He lived, sincerely? Because I'll tell you what, I don't care what religion you are, or if you're an atheist or what. Even just as a literature character, okay, even just as a character in a book, because I know the Bible is real, and I'm not going to debate that with anybody. All I'm going to say is, even just as a book, all right, Jesus is an amazing person. And in the literature, if you read the Old Testament and the New Testament, the person that he in the literature, if this was like the Lord of the Rings, if you're reading the book just as a book from beginning to end, you're gonna be like, whoa. It seems like this Jesus character was kind of mentioned a whole bunch of times in the Old Testament, which is, and there's prophecies about him coming, and then Jesus fulfills the character of the Messiah. Interesting. God's promise to David. I mean, like, come on. Like, Guys, I think it's more than obvious who Jesus is. Okay? God, with the character of Jesus in the book, or with just actually what would really happen, but even just as a character, a lot of people go like, where in the Bible does Jesus say, I am God, unequivocally? He proves it. He doesn't have to say, if he just went around saying, I'm God, I'm God, I'm God, I'm God. Okay. There was a guy who just kept saying, I'm God, I'm God, I'm God, I'm God. And then he died on a cross and people believe him. No, that's not what happened. If Jesus' whole thing, if there was not proof of Jesus in the Old Testament, if there wasn't multiple things I could verify for myself, why would I believe in Jesus? I know Jesus is real. I've done so much research. The whole point of this is that the claim is that he is the way, the truth, the life, the only way to the Father. Like, Jesus is everything. And there's no lie in him. So if you can find a lie in Jesus, you're doing something impossible. Because it's not possible. There's no lies in him. He is truth. And you might be thinking, what did that even mean? I don't even know how to explain it. Whenever you tell the truth, there's a certain feeling to it. And whenever you tell a lie, there's a certain energy, whatever you want to call it. I think most people can tell if someone's lying to you, you can kind of tell. All right? That's why when there's people that are like pathological liars and they're just telling you lies over and over again, it's just kind of funny because you're like, wow, this person is just making this up like very quickly. There are con artists. The entire religion of the Mormons, who now want to be rebranded as the Church of the Latter-day Saints. Like, everyone wants to sell you on something, okay? Everyone has something to sell. You want to know how you know? Whenever money's involved. Now, if you are at a place that asks you, just voluntarily, like, hey, let's say it's a small church or something, and they ask you, hey, if you want to donate, that's cool. If not, here's still, someone going to be sharing the gospel with you today. Like, cool, it's up to you. There's nothing wrong with donating. I'm just saying, if the whole thing is like, the whole foundation is clearly just some kind of religious pyramid scheme, then yeah, come on. And you know how many of those there are? There's churches, there's Christian imagery, whatever you want to call it, all over the building and stuff, and then all it's for is just collecting money. So you should have enough discernment to know, like, hey, is this a place that with people that genuinely love Jesus like they say they do, or is this just like a money laundering scheme? Like, what is this? You should be able to discern that. Okay, you want to know how? The same thing I was talking about earlier, about you kind of know when something's a truth and something's a lie. And if you don't have that understanding, if you don't have that awareness or the ability to kind of discern between a truth and a lie, I don't know.